Yeah. We're all set. Yeah, I've got a clicker. Been going there like 5 or 6 years straight. From Ireland. Really a nice solid day. Project. I don't know, it all kind of runs together. Building a home, I guess. Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I haven't watched very much, but right after the time you're in the gym. Even with the iPad, something like that. You would rather say to be able to already. We need to. Got a lot of here. That's our moving We have all definitely. I'm that, you know, girls are boys.
Really busy. It's a lot of work. Any business? This thing is intermittently doing stuff like that, and there's some things that I can slow down, if my wife is really wants or something like that, I'll get some, put out the beach. That's right. Put a lot of. Yeah, I'll come up calling somebody. That's
Testing.
Yeah.
Testing. All right, everybody, let's go ahead and get started. As a reminder, please silence your cell phones. For guests and visitors, my name is Jim Farmer. I'm president of this club, and I'd like to welcome you to the third meeting of the 50th year of the Dublin-Worthington Rotary Club. Our invocation and pledge of allegiance today will be offered by the one and only Al Wu.
Father Heavenly, Father, thank you for this food before us. Bless those who prepared it and those who are sharing it with us. May it nourish our bodies, bring us together in gratitude and service. In your name, amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we will have visitors who are going to be introduced by Joe Passion. I believe, Joe, you have the list.
I do not.
Well, then we might ask visitors to just stand and identify themselves, and please introduce yourselves to us. First, I know we have a visitor from the Dublin AM Club. Want to come up and make a quick announcement? He's got a quick announcement.
Good afternoon, I'm Nyla Whitfield from the Worthington AM Rotary, OH. So on your table, you should have some of our raffle tickets. We're raffling off season tickets, 2 seats to every home game for the Buckeyes this year. Yeah, the tickets are $20 each or 3 for $50. We're gonna pull the winning ticket on August the 23rd. We hope that you can help us and participate. This is one of our biggest fundraisers of the year. And it's always great to be within Rotary where clubs are supporting each other. So thank you very much for this. I'll also give you a real quick mention that in October, we're hoping to partner with your club. We're bringing in a speaker from the FBI Columbus office regarding white collar crime. White collar crime. Sorry, white collar crime. So hopefully you'll be hearing more about that. I apologize, I have to skip out, but John Butterfield's gonna be in charge of the envelope and the tickets. So if you wanna buy tickets or whatever, please see him. You also can go on our website, WAMR, for Worthington AM Rotary, WAMR.org, and buy tickets there. Thanks.
And my apologies for attributing you to Dublin, that other community. Okay, we also have a special guest today, and will be introduced by none other than Emily Young.
Today we have with us John. He is the exchange student who our club is hosting. He got in this weekend, so we're really excited to have him, and he's gonna say a couple things about himself.
Hi everyone, I am Sajal and I am from India. So this is a really spread out city for me. Having huge backyards in my house, that's something really new experience which I don't get to experience in India. People live really clubbed up, and it's a great pleasure to be with you guys today. And it's my first time to a Rotary Club in USA and seeing not a lot of people in the Rotary Club. Yeah, so thank you everyone.
So Shajal is going to be 16 on August the 18th. So we thought we should probably celebrate that now because we're gonna miss him because he's gonna be in school. Right? So
18th August is a Sunday.
that's true, but we don't meet until, but good. He's very aware of things. So we're gonna sing a happy birthday, and we have a birthday piece of cake for you. So happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Come over here. Come over here, Shadal. Okay. Emily, go over with Shadal. Ready? Now we're gonna sing it again because that's loud. Okay. Shadal. SAJAL for visual learners. Okay. Gonna be, how old is he gonna be on August the 18th? See, the club is aware of things. Okay. Driver's license. Okay, now. Oh, and Mr. Giesler is gonna lead us because he's in the choir at the Presbyterian Church. Okay. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Okay, now, that's good. 1, 2, 3, we'll do it again. 1, 2, 3. And now, you can go out. Okay.
Well, as usual, I've lost control of the meeting almost immediately, but. Okay, anyone with announcements, please make your way to the podium now. And we do have a speaker who will be introduced later, by the way.
Hold that, Jerry.
Speaking of the AM Club, the Worthy AM Club, next Friday, the 16th, we're having a joint meeting to celebrate our recipients, two of our recipients of scholarships to Columbus State. So we'll have one new recipient just from this year, and we have the recipient from 2 years ago, who was our first graduate from Columbus State. So I need to get a list of everyone who's able to attend or who wish to attend by tomorrow. So I'll send out another email. Just let me know, phone, text, or email. Thank you. It is a breakfast meeting, AM 7:30.
Hey, everybody. I have a thinking of you card. Connie Hendren is kind of under the weather. She's had a lot of back pain and she's going in and they're gonna do a pain block to help with that. And she has a lot of inflammation in the lower intestine area. So she hasn't, she goes soon to see her oncologist, but right now she's kind of not feeling very good, but she wanted everybody to know she loves you and she hopes to be back very soon. So put a note in the card for Connie.
Thank you, Peggy.
Welcome.
As you hopefully know by now, we are having a Ways and Means Committee meeting. We're going to look at potential fundraisers for this year. How many are planning to attend? Good number. And we will be probably making a couple decisions there. It will last, we have to be out of this room at 2:15, so we need to gather fairly quickly, and I would suggest we just gather around these front two tables right here. Thank you.
How many people here have built walls for habitat? Good. We have a project going on the 16th and 17th at Liberty Presbyterian Church. Friday night at 5:30, you saw the lumber. The church has supplied the lumber. And then Saturday, you actually build the walls. So I have sign-up sheets on the tables. I'll pick them up afterward and hope to see you on next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Thank you. Any questions?
On some of the tables, you'll find the sign-up sheet to plant trees on September the 14th. You're reminded that those holes will be pre-dug. We'll still have some excavating to do, but they'll be a heck of a lot easier than before. So please sign up. If there's not a list on your table, go to somebody else's table and steal theirs. But put your name on. Second announcement is over here along the windows, you will find 50. Count them, 50. How many years old are we?
50.
That's good, because I'm also the sergeant. You better get better than that. All right, so there's 50 backpacks over there, and there's things to be stuffed into those backpacks. And then they will be taken to the pantry, Worthington Resource Pantry, where in about 6 minutes, they'll all be gone. So I need these folks that need to have these supplies, and they need to have a backpack. So after the meeting, if you would, on your way out, just pack a couple or three, and there'll be people there to help you. Shirley is the chair, the champion, the master, the provider, all of those things on this project. So she'll give you some directions over there, and Al Wu knows what he's doing too. So if you please do that on the way out. Let's make short order of that. Just get it done. Just get her done. Now, I'm also the sergeant. So, we need to have somebody carry the pot. And the pot's right here, and Darnell's a quick mover. And he's got money in hand, so, prime the pot. Now, as usual, I want to give you, your history lessons and those kinds of things. So, we just had an executive committee meeting, and we're gonna have a fundraising committee here in just a little bit. And so you may as well get out $3 because your treasurer's been looking at the state of affairs, and we definitely need more money in the social fund. So on this date, and way back in 1588, court wasn't even here in 1588. The Spanish Armada was defeated. The English defeated them. They set eight fire ships, sunk them all. And so you would think that I was going to say, if you've ever been on a cruise, you'd have to put in $1, but that's not what it's going to be, folks. If you speak Spanish, put in $1. In 1782, and you all know this because it's been on the news quite a bit. In 1782, George Washington created 2 honorary badges of distinction and the badge of military merit. The badge of military merit, as my friend Alan Zink will know, is actually today the Purple Heart. And so if you know anybody that has received a Purple Heart, God bless you. The rest of you put in $1. In 1882, the Hatfields of West Virginia and the McCoys of Kentucky started a feud. How many wounded or died on this day in 1882 at that feud? Hearing none, you're wrong. It was 100. Put in $1. 1907. Now we're getting up to the age where court was at least thought about. Major League Baseball, the Washington Senators, legendary pitcher, Walter Johnson. Anybody ever heard of Walter Johnson? There's a few people in here that have heard of Walter Johnson. He wins the first of, how many games do you think he won?
35.
How many?
35.
35? He wouldn't be legendary, Pete, with 35.
Understand that.
But this is back in the days when pitchers pitched the whole game, remember? They didn't just do 6 an hour. He won 416 games. Unbelievable, I think. It'll only cost you $1. So in 1981, the Washington Star ceased all of their operations, another newspaper out of business after 128 years. Quite a run, but things change. All right, so you put in some dollars. Now I'm ready for happy dollars because some of you didn't get fined, so I know you're happy about that. So happy dollars. Pete.
Putting in $5, come on from the previous. Glad to have my bride back after the 4 big trips that she's made this summer. And we're still married.
Alan Z.
Barry, I have been a member of this club for 42 years. During that time, I've sat here at lunch meetings with other things on my mind, namely our son. And I'm happy to put in $10 today to tell you that he has just achieved 1 year of sobriety. Well, from all of these surgeries.
That makes us all happy, Alan. Thank you. Any other happy dollars? Yes.
I got $5 because I see Ted in Bush and haven't seen him in years. Now he's hiding.
Yeah. At least, there he is.
There he is, looking at his computer screen.
Now we know he's still alive.
We're going up or down, Seth?
Court.
I'm happy that we are celebrating our 31st wedding anniversary today.
Okay, that's all right. Should have brought your bride to lunch. Yes, Jim.
I'm leaving this afternoon to go celebrate with my wife, this weekend, our 43rd anniversary.
There we go. Thank you. Shirley's gonna.
I'm happy and I appreciate the social, or the what committee, the ways and means, community service, sorry. The community service approving this backpack project for the 50th anniversary. I appreciate that.
That's great.
Community service. I had to spend all of this stuff.
John.
I'm happy because I'm glad that Courtney reminded me that today is my 53rd wedding anniversary.
Okay. There's a lot of benefits to Rotary. There's a lot of benefits. Everybody be more than $1. All right. Dave Kittredge,
Yes, sir.
I'm fining you $1 because today is National Lighthouse Day. So any sailor ought to put in $1.
I have such a bright personality.
Yes, you have to have a really bright personality. You are a beacon for us. Today is also the National Raspberries and Cream Day, and of course, it's Purple Heart Day. So, enough of all that. Last weekend I was in Las Vegas. And I was reminded that when I was in Las Vegas, that I wished COVID had started there, because whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. However, I also
Watch out.
within minutes, the detectives knew what the murder weapon was. It was a briefcase. You moan, you put in another $1.
Barry, did you get any money for our foundation?
I don't gamble.
Oh.
I put money in the raffle because the club needs the money.
Thank you, Jerry, for wrapping that up. Our speaker today will now be introduced by Lisa Federico.
There we go. So I'd like to introduce you to our speaker today, who is Megan Ye. Megan is a physician and avid proponent of the starting strength method of barbell training. She and her husband found the training so effective that they opened their own starting strength gym, which is located in Dublin, back in 2022. Under the watchful eye of a certified starting strength coach, lifters receive real-time instruction on the basic barbell lifts and personalized programming to ensure that they are making measurable progress safely. Classes take place in small group setting to ensure a supportive and fun environment. And while appropriate for lifters of any age, this program is ideally suited to seniors looking to combat aging and frailty. So applied consistently, strength training is a lifelong skill proven to produce improvements in metabolic profile, increases in longevity, excuse me, health span, and functional status. And so I give you Megan Yang.
Thank you very much, Lisa. It's a pleasure to be here.
Trying to see. Clicker maybe broke.
Uh-oh, I can do it.
Yeah, if you just use the left and right. Sorry about that.
Okay, we have a little clicker issue, so apologize if I'm just looking down. So my goal as a physician, every time I see a patient, is to make sure,
Yes.
how about that? Is that better? Okay. So my goal is to make sure when I see patients that they're either living longer or functioning better. And so that's why I love to talk to people about strength training, because I think you can think of strength training as a medicine. And really it's statistically proven to check both those boxes. It helps people to live longer and it can help you to feel better. So hopefully as we go through this talk, I'll be able to show you about some of these benefits. So what do you guys think of when you hear the word strength training? Okay, men, I heard muscles, I heard weightlifting. So I tell you, I thought of, Arnold. The first time my husband told me he wanted to open a gym, it's exactly what I thought of. You want me to make little Arnolds running around? But yeah, I think there's some general preconceived notions about weight training, that it's for men, that involves big muscles. We often think about the instruments that we use to gain muscle. So I have dumbbells, weightlifting machines, kettlebells. I think a lot of other people think of disciplines like CrossFit that involve a lot of strength training. So can you tell me, let's just take a poll of all the people here. How many of you engage in any sort of resistance activity or strength training on a regular basis? So good. That's like about half of the room, which is wonderful because that's much more than average. So only about half of Americans actually exercise, and a much smaller component do any sort of resistance training. So for those of you that didn't raise your hands, are there any reasons why maybe you don't participate in resistance training? Is it a time thing? Is it laziness?
It was the word regular that got it.
Yeah, it's difficult, right? It's difficult to fit it in, I agree. So I thought a good place to start would be to kind of talk about some of the general misconceptions or myths that I encounter a lot regarding strength training. So I think one of the things I hear a lot from people is that they're concerned that it's actually dangerous. This is going away, but I still hear it from time to time, or that it's somehow bad for your joints. Probably the other biggest category I hear a lot is, I'm a busy person, I don't have much time. My doctor tells me I need to be cardiovascularly fit because that's what's gonna kill me. So if I need to do anything, I'm gonna prioritize my cardiovascular health and fitness. And there somehow comes this idea that cardiovascular health is overall more important than overall strength. Try and pull this forward here. Lastly, I have, some people tell me aesthetic concerns are kind of turned off from strength training because they're afraid that it's not gonna help them either lose weight or look better, they're gonna get too bulky. And then lastly, I hear a lot from people that they feel like they have a contraindication to strength training. They were told that they have XYZ condition and their neighbor or the internet told them that this was a bad thing. So I thought we'd go through this talk and talk about each of these specific categories, and hopefully I can show you through talking about some of these myths or misconceptions, what the benefits of strength training actually are. So we're going to start with this first one, that strength training is dangerous or somehow bad for your joints. And I think this is somewhat perpetuated, even by medical professionals and fitness professionals out there. I'm hearing it much less often, which is a good deal. But there's simply no data to support this. In fact, the opposite is actually very much true. So I wanted to let you know that the strength training that I'm gonna be talking about today is a low impact activity. A lot of people are concerned that high impact activities are tougher on the joints and are gonna somehow be bad for them. So this doesn't involve a lot of twisting or jumping or running. So strength training is low impact. And it's actually proven to be very beneficial for people with things like osteoarthritis. So, for example, doing resistance training helps to strengthen structures around the joint. So it strengthens your bones, your tendons, your ligaments. It helps to make that joint more sound. It helps with your balance, so you have less falls overall. And it's even statistically proven to reduce your pain and fatigue and inflammation, and it can actually extend your time to joint replacement as well. So I think if you have osteoarthritis, one of the best things that you can do is exercise with some sort of resistance training. So if you think weightlifting is dangerous, just say try being weak. That is usually by far more dangerous. So we're going to spend a little time on this idea that cardiovascular health is more important than strength training. And I would tell you that this is not necessarily true, that both are equally important for your overall health. And this is even recommended by the key agencies, the World Health Organization, the American College of Cardiology. They even feel that strength training is an integral part of your fitness routine, and you should be doing it twice a week. So there's good reason for these recommendations. So if you look at longevity data, you'll see that low cardiovascular fitness and low grip strength, which is our medical marker for low strength overall, are actually more predictive of your overall mortality than whether or not you have diabetes, whether or not you have cardiovascular disease, or whether or not you smoke. And I think this data is really actually very surprising. So you may look at this graph and say, well, you know, that pink bar looks a lot higher than that orange bar. So it does look like your cardiovascular health is overall more important. But one thing that I want to stress to you is that especially as you age, your ability to participate in those cardiovascular exercises that you love, like your golf game or pickleball, are highly dependent on the level of strength that you have. So I think most of us probably don't realize that our strength peaks when we're about 30 years old. And then every decade from then on, we're losing 3 to 5% of our muscle mass. So that means by the time you're 65, you've already gone through on average 25% of your muscle mass. And it kind of tanks more rapidly thereafter. And so this muscle mass is equated to your ability to function, your functional status. Okay, so I think it's imperative that you try to keep that muscle mass at a good baseline level as long as possible, because this is going to allow you to continue to do all those cardiovascular activities that you want to do as you age.
So when you get to about 80, how tanked is it?
50%.
Pardon me?
50%. At 80, yeah. So it between 65 and 70, it goes down much more rapid. And that's just the average if you're not doing anything to maintain it. Okay. So the next thing, and probably I want you to remember this slide if you remember nothing else out of this entire presentation, that your muscle is the biggest driver of your overall metabolism. Okay, so what do I mean by that? So when you eat, your body converts whatever you eat into blood sugar or glucose. Okay, if you have a healthy amount of muscle, like on the top of this, your muscle acts like a sponge, the biggest consumer of your body's glucose or energy. And this keeps the blood sugar from getting high in your blood vessels. It keeps that blood sugar from getting converted and stored as fat. And your metabolism runs efficiently. You have this nice low level of inflammation. This is how it starts for most of us. Okay. You got to remember, though, that as we're getting older, we're getting that progressive muscle loss. That's called the sarcopenia of aging, if you ever heard that term. And I think what happens at the same time in middle age is what happens to us. We have kids, we get married, we have a stressful job, and we just become more inactive. And we may not be eating as well. And so that overall muscle mass that we have declines. And so we lose that sponging effect of soaking up all that excess sugar. And what happens is that excess sugar sticks around more in our blood vessels, and we get insulin resistance and then diabetes. And it also gets preferentially shunted to being stored as fat. So we get obesity and we get metabolic syndrome. These all end up being risk factors for cardiovascular disease down the line. So I think it's very important to realize that being under muscled itself actually can directly contribute to your chances of developing heart disease down the line by being metabolically inefficient. And actually doing some strength training and maintaining that metabolic efficiency by maintaining your lean muscle mass is one of the best things or ways to address things like elevated blood sugars, elevated cholesterol, obesity. Okay. There's an interesting reports coming out too that low muscle mass is actually linked to mild cognitive impairment and dementia. I think it increases your risk like 5 times plus. So that's an interesting area of research to follow as well. So the last thing I want you to think about for your muscle is I want you to think of this as your physiologic 401k. So what do I mean by this? I mean your muscle is very giving in times of stress, both big and small. So I'm going to give you an example. So say you come in tomorrow to the ER at Ohio State where I work, and you're having abdominal pain, and we diagnose you with a ruptured appendix. And you have to get surgery, and then you have some infection going on, and you need antibiotics, and we may starve you, you may not feel like eating, and lo and behold, a week later, you get out of the hospital and you're 10 pounds lighter than you were when you came in. Okay, and unfortunately, you didn't just lose fat. You lost a little bit of muscle too, okay? Your body just doesn't preferentially get rid of all our excess fat, unfortunately. So the muscle is pretty giving. So then say you get something else that happens. A month later, suddenly you find out you get diagnosed with lung cancer and you need another surgery and you need chemo. And lo and behold, 6 months later, now you're 30 pounds down from where you were before. I see this scenario all the time, even in normal, healthy, functioning people. If you are this bodybuilder gentleman over on my far left there, you're gonna be fine. You're 70% muscle mass. Even if you lose 30 pounds, even if a good portion of that is muscle, you have enough muscle to lose that you're gonna be able to maintain your functional status and recover just fine. If you're this sedentary person in the middle here, who's only 20% muscle and has higher amount of body fat, you don't have that much muscle to lose before you're really going to experience a significant functional decline. And you may end up at that end of that 6 months needing a walker, needing to go to a nursing home for a little bit of time. This is an extreme example, but this is not, unfortunately, an unrealistic one. This is something I see every day when I'm in the hospital. And I spend a lot of time putting people into rehabs, things like this, because of scenarios exactly like this. So I think it's important for us as we age to maintain our muscle mass because that gives us kind of a buffer against the what ifs or the stressors in life. Okay. All right, so enough about muscle. You can tell I like muscle. So really briefly, just talking about some aesthetics. I think this is important regardless of a person's age. I hear this almost always when people come into the gym. So I think there's this preconceived notion that strength training is going to make women bulky and that scares them away, and the men come kind of flocking to it because that's what they want. I think if you're a female, rest assured that we don't have a hormone profile to really get very bulky. You can improve your tone and your appearance if you want. I think similarly, I have young guys, even older gentlemen that can put on 20 pounds of lean muscle mass very easily. You're not gonna walk out in a month looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger, unfortunately. But the truth is, if you have any physique goals, they take a lot of time and they take a lot of dedication and consistency in both the gym and unfortunately in the kitchen with what you're eating. So can you lose weight strength training? I think that's the other big thing that people ask me. Yes, certainly. I think the thing, we would tell you in our gym is you have to evaluate whether or not you should. So I think, again, most people are looking to lose fat, not necessarily, that's what they mean by weight loss. So the weight loss, I would say, should not come at the expense of healthy body composition. So if you are 100 pounds overweight, you can probably lift weights and still lose a lot of fat mass. But if you come to me and you're a postmenopausal lady who has low bone density, low muscle mass, pre-diabetic, and you're on the slighter side and you just have a little bit of a belly, I'm gonna tell you preferentially that I want you to gain lean muscle first, and that might mean your weight actually goes up. But if you have that lean muscle mass, you're gonna be more metabolically efficient, you're gonna burn more calories, more energy. And then later on, when you have that nice healthy body composition and the appropriate amount of muscle, we can work on nutrition and work on helping you to lose that belly fat and those aesthetic goals that you may have. Okay, so I would just be very cautious of anybody or any fitness program that advertises losing a large amount of weight really rapidly, because it's usually not the kind of weight that you want to lose, and it's usually not sustainable. So the last thing I hear a lot from people is that they feel like they have a contraindication. So one of the biggest things I hear is that I'm too old to start weight training, or I have XYZ healthcare condition and the internet told me I shouldn't weight train, or my cousin's brother's uncle told me I shouldn't weight train, whatever it may be. So there are really very few contraindications overall to weight training. I think the only time I've sent somebody home is when they're having active chest pain, and I told them to go get their heart fixed, and they came back to me, you know, a month later, and started back in the gym. So we see patients with clients with multiple problems, joint replacement, heart disease, Parkinson's, autism, and they still manage to get benefit from weight training. We have multiple modalities to modify lifting if we need to meet people where they're at. Studies have also shown that no matter what your age, you can benefit from strength training regardless of when you start. So I'd like to show you a video of one of my clients. This is Cheryl. She is 74. She's a retired teacher. She has been a member in our gym for a little under 2 years now. And she has a lot of medical problems. She has a knee replacement. She has bone-on-bone arthritis in the other leg. She's had a quadruple bypass. I think she's had 11 stents now. She came to me 2 weeks after having her last stent because her A1C, which is her marker of blood sugar, was still too high, and her cardiologist was telling her she needed to get it down. And she'd been working with, PTs and cardiac rehab, and she just wasn't seeing any benefit. So she heard about the metabolic effects of strength training and came to us. And I'm going to show you a video of her actually deadlifting 202 pounds. And this was about a month and a half ago. So she's stronger than most people half her age. And her A1C is also normal now. So. This is for a set of a common scenario for clients in my gym.
Got it. Push.
Oh, it's easy. Good job. That was fast, Cheryl. Woo! Cheryl, how much was that?
202 and a half.
Nice.
Wow. You're my hero.
Okay. That's enough about all the benefits of weight training. I think we hit on most of these. I think the important thing I want you to remember is that if you do some strength training overall, it'll lead to increased longevity and improved functional status and better prolonged independence. And I think if you're not strength training, it's kind of like leaving some longevity or some benefit on the table. So the last 5 minutes, 6 minutes of this presentation, I'd like to talk to you about what I think effective strength training is and a little bit about what we do in my gym. So strength training, strength is basically your ability to produce force against resistance. You'll hear us in my gym talk a lot about the difference between exercise and training. So exercise is kind of something you do for pure enjoyment and for the sake of doing exercise. So I think the problem we have with exercise per se is it's sometimes hard to identify whether it's truly beneficial or not. So if you're going to play pickleball with your neighbor tomorrow, you may not know if that neighbor is a master pickleball player and is going to run you ragged across the court, or if they are just beginning, and you might be standing there most of the time. So it's unclear what kind of cardiovascular workout you're going to get. With training, we have kind of pre-planned workouts. So when you come into the gym, you know how much you're going to lift. You're going to execute that plan. The goal is to be physically stronger. And then essentially the next time you come into the gym, we're going to increase the weight that you're lifting, and it's wash, rinse, and repeat all the way through. So I'm going to argue to you that the most effective vehicle for strength training is a barbell. That is not to say that if you're not lifting barbells, that you're not doing anything that's effective in terms of weight training. If you have access only to dumbbells or machines or body weight, doing something is much better than doing nothing at all. So please don't feel that you have to take up barbell training, but at the same time, I want to show you about some of the specific benefits of lifting a little bit heavier and lifting with a barbell. Okay, so there's a couple reasons that I like barbells specifically. They're simple, they allow for simplicity, they allow for efficiency, and they allow for measurable progress. So what we say in the gym is when you lift a barbell, you're doing natural movements. We're squatting down, we're doing a deadlift, which is that upper video where upper picture where we're picking something up off the ground. We're doing overhead presses where you're reaching up. You're using multiple muscle groups at the same time over a long range of motion, and this involves your bilateral body, so you have to have some balance. Okay, so these are the 4 routine exercises we do in my gym. These are pictures of some of my lifters. So a deadlift, a squat, an overhead press, and a bench press. And what this allows for is simplicity. You only have to do these 4 exercises and you can get a fairly complete total body workout. So I don't have to, go to the gym and worry about hitting through 20 machines or waiting for somebody to get off this machine, or worry about if I'm trying to lift dumbbells, how am I gonna, physically grip a 25-pound dumbbell. So I think these exercises are also important because they hit the right muscle groups that you want to hit. So a lot of times when I see people go into a gym, they'll kind of just do things at random. They'll decide to work on this machine, but not that machine. They'll often skip major muscle groups. So I see this a lot with backs. So a lot of times we won't be doing anything to actually improve the muscle strength in our low back. And that's the #1 reason patients come into the ER these days is low back pain. I'm sure you know or have had low back pain in your life. So if you're, for example, a postmenopausal woman and you have osteoporosis or at risk for that, you need to be doing strength exercises that target your back, because that's one of the most likely places that you're going to experience a fracture. So I think I like barbell training because it gets at all those good places. The last thing is it allows for measurable progress. So if you're squatting 50 pounds today and in 3 months you're squatting 150, I know without a doubt you've physically gotten stronger. And I know that is because you have developed increased lean muscle mass. I don't have to guess. Okay. So, next thing, I like barbells as well for their efficiency. This is the last reason. And I think, let me start up. I don't have a lot of time to devote to exercise in a day, and I'm sure you guys don't either. That was one of the main reasons that was spoken in the first few minutes of this presentation. We don't have a lot of time. So I like barbells because you can lift in almost infinite amount of weights in very specific increments. And this allows for efficiency. So in general, you really need to lift a little bit heavier than you think. So often I'll hear from clients, I'm doing all the right things. I'm walking, I'm trying to lift lightweight for high reps. And, you know, gosh darn it, my A1C is still high and my bone density isn't getting any better. And they come in really dejected because their numbers are bad. And the problem here is basically that the stress that you are using to try and build muscle mass is insufficient. Okay, so if you're lifting 5-pound weights, but the grand child you're routinely picking up weighs 20 pounds, that 5-pound weight is just not going to be strong enough to cause a lot of muscle breakdown, cause your body to repair that muscle in that recovery phase and give you an adaptation. Okay, so when you're barbell training, I can have you come in, I can add weight initially every time, especially if you're a novice. And I can kind of ratchet up that stress very easily. And this allows you to get that strength adaptation. It becomes really hard to do this with dumbbells, for example, because you just run out of the size of dumbbell in the gym that you need. If Cheryl can lift 202 pounds, they don't make 100-pound dumbbells very often for you to grip. Same thing with weight machines. Weight machines usually jump up in 5-pound increments. When you get to be more of an intermediate lifter, that might be too much, especially for women. You need even 1/4-pound increment jumps or 1/2-pound increment jumps to kind of continually drive your progress. So I think the barbell allows us to do this, and that's one of the main reasons I like it. All right. Last few slides. So I think it's helpful, if you can, to have a strength coach. Yes, they're there to motivate you, they're there to keep you accountable, they're there to help you with your form. But I think more than anything, they're there to kind of act as your physician. They're there to dose the weight on the bar. They're there to dose that stress. Remember, we just kind of spent this whole last slide talking about how that's the major problem. That's a lot of times why people don't see benefit from exercise, because the stress is inappropriate. So I think a good strength coach is going to know when to add or subtract weight. They're going to know how to modify your programming if you're injured, if you're ill, for life's little stresses, and they can keep driving that progress forward. Now remember, all those benefits we just kind of spent all that time talking about only come about if you actually build significant lean muscle mass. So it's really important that you're seeing that progress. Okay. So it's one of my last slides. What's the prize older individuals win for aging? Anybody know?
Another day.
It's a trophy or atrophy. So, I think culturally, though, people believe this. They believe that muscular weakness comes with age, and somehow that this is, you know, a process that cannot be stopped. And we have to just accept it. We have to accept this functional decline as we age. And this is really a myth, okay? Choosing to lift heavy is one of the best ways to maintain your muscle mass and to maintain that functional status as you age. And they've even done studies on people like triathletes, like 30-year-old triathletes and a 70-year-old triathlete, and they've, you know, done cross sections of their muscle mass, and they look almost exactly the same. So you can modify this atrophy by remaining active and maintaining good nutrition. Okay, so these are my final thoughts. Strength training is for everyone. Please, please, please give it a try, or be at least open to it. If you don't do it now, and consider barbell training. If you haven't in the past, it'll help you live longer. It'll help you feel better. It's a wonderful lifelong skill. If you can learn barbell training, you can pass this on. And I like to tell my lifters that after a while, they'll realize that the weight on the bar serves as an excellent barometer for their overall health. Because basically they're just not going to be able to continue to make progress unless everything else in their health house is in order, like their sleep, their nutrition, all those things, stress. And if you need some more motivation, can look up, this is Merce. She is a member of Starting Strength Cincinnati, which is one of our sister gyms. She's 97. She started strength training when she was 95, because she wanted to get rid of her walker. I think just in the past week, she was featured on Good Morning America, after they did a video on her at the gym. So feel free to look it up, but you're never, ever too old to start.
Somebody must have a question. I have a question. What does sarcopenia mean?
The sarcopenia is that, it's just a medical term for that age-related muscle loss that happens. And the most common reason you get sarcopenia is because you're inactive, in middle age, and undernourished, basically. So it has more, it's not necessarily a foregone conclusion, but it occurs in most of us just because, like I said. Oh, sorry. It occurs in most of us just because life happens and we get a little bit more inactive and eat a little bit unhealthy as we age.
Jim, I have a quick question. So talk about grip strength, because I'm not sure it's my strength that's going down in my grip or the damn things are put in so tight you can't get them off.
I know, it's kind of weird that that's a grip strength is the arbitrary measure that almost all medical studies use as a marker of strength. I don't know why, to tell you the truth, that they chose grip strength per se. If you look at a lot of the studies, they exclude people with significant hand arthritis and all of that stuff, but it is statistically linked to your overall longevity.
Okay, well, thanks again. I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm so moved by that talk, I'm gonna continue to lift 195 pounds out of bed every morning. So we now have a raffle, and Ro is going to circulate and collect a ticket here. We don't have.
7285, $26, 7285.
Right after me. Then Phil, he left.
Wait a minute, go back. Oh, wait a minute. What? You go back to that.
7285.
I was reading left to right instead of right.
It's about head strength.
Seven two seven three 609 in the pot. 7273.
Jim Howell, all right.
Okay. At least it's not Jim Miller.
What do I need?
This is made.
609.
609.
Well drawn, 5 of spades. Okay, let's, please join me in the 4-way test. On behalf of all the things we think, say, and do, first. Second. Third. Fourth.
Beneficial to all concerned.
We are adjourned, thank you.
Tickets for OSU, remember.
Oh, thank you.